Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first EURES webinar of the year. Today I'm really glad to greet here five of our colleagues and speakers from Western Europe. So this is the third episode of Insight into EU labor market, the format of EURES webinar where we go deep inside the labor market of some areas of Europe. So the first one was about Southern Europe. Then we continued with Eastern Europe, and now it's time for Western Europe. So I'm glad to have here the speakers from the Netherlands. So we have Jeroen de Quillettes. Then from Germany, Christian Hutter. From Belgium, representing all the 3 or 4 organizations in Belgium, so Kyra Veldkamp. From Switzerland, Paola Denereaz, and from Luxembourg, Mario Della Schiava. So in this order, we will listen to their presentation. So every speaker will tell you more about the labor markets in their country for around 10 minutes. Of course, you can also interact with them, ask questions using the chat function here directly in YouTube or in the link that I pasted in the chat. So feel free to ask the question and I will redirect them to the speakers at the end of their presentations. As there is a little delay usually from the streaming, we will also have a 10 minutes Q&A session at the end of all presentations, so we can answer to all your questions. At around 11, we will have a short coffee break, so 10 minutes to rest, and after that we will do a short moderated discussion, of course, with a topic going around the labor market in Western Europe, and we will end by 12 o'clock or a little bit in advance. So my name is Gian Claudio, and I will be moderating the webinar. So now it's time for the speaker to start presenting their labor markets. So I will leave the floor first to Jeroen de Quillettes from the Netherlands. So good morning, Jeroen.
Thanks, Claudia, for introducing me. Let me load my presentation. I guess there it is. Thank you very much. So today about the Netherlands. First of all, I want to guide you through some latest developments. Let's talk about the unemployment rate. We see an average unemployment rate in the EU at around 6% at the end of 2025. The Netherlands is slightly below with 4%. I guess we're on the lower side of the spectrum. Some countries below us are Germany, Czechia, Bulgaria, but there are not much with us at this lower side. So we have a pretty tight labor market. We see a short rise recently, especially in youth employment, which is not that strange because they're more prone to economic shortfall. It's not that we still have economic growth, but we notice a decrease in vacancies. Yeah, so that's like a start off. If we continue, to what does this mean, this decrease in vacancies for the job vacancy ratio. We see that we had a couple of years after the COVID lockdowns, in which vacancy they rise to the stars, as you say. We see a pretty sharp peak in 2022. However, it started to decline, which means that at the end of last year, vacancies fall below the unemployment number of persons, unemployed people, which was the first in like 4 to 5 years. However, as we can see, before 2020, we're still pretty high. So the labor market's still tight, especially I'll come back to that later in critical industries like the healthcare and tech. Uh, but we see like a shift, which is a good thing to notice, important thing to notice. As I said, if we look at from a different angle, the previous slide showed the unemployment rate as a ratio to the vacancies. We from the UWV, which is the Public Employment Service in the Netherlands, also monitor the tightness of the labor market. We do that according to a ratio, which is at one side the short-term unemployment benefits recipients with a max to 6 months, which we assume is like the supply, which can be immediately go into labor. You can argue about that, but we take that as the indicator for direct supply. Versus on the other end, the number of open vacancies. If we look at the ratio between them, we see that the labor market is still very tight, especially in perspective to the last years. So yeah, vacancies are going back, but the labor market very tight. That's actually the conclusion. Another important development lately is that we had new elections 2025, which means we have a new minority government. It's actually the first in like 50 years in which they didn't have a majority in the parliament, but yeah, we'll see what happens. A couple of things which are important for the labor market is that they try to reduce the maximum duration of unemployment benefits from 2 to 1 year. So that's a pretty major thing they wanna change. They also intend to link the state pension age more closely to life expectancy, starting in 2033. Average pension age right now is like 67. If they try to go on with their plans, it will be around 70 to 71 in like 2060, something around that. But it's still pending approval by both houses of parliaments, but those are the intentions right now. So it's pretty major change if that all goes through. I have a lot of text on this slide. I won't read it all. Some takeaways is that we see a short economic shortfall, not at macro perspective because we still have economic growth, but especially in the industrial sector, we see that there's, for example, a rise in collective redundancy, so more people getting fired in that industry, which is pretty logically caused is the lack of demand. Some key factors which cause that lack of demand is that we have stagnant economic growth in Germany, especially in the car sector, the industrial sector, which is an important export country for us. Of course, high energy cost. We have an overloaded Dutch power grid, which means that new companies which want to establish themselves in the Netherlands actually have a waiting list of around 6 months or even 2 years before they can start because our power grid is just overloaded, which will be a good challenge for the energy transition, which we all have to go through as Europe. Uh, on the positive side, yeah, it's actually not a positive side from economic growth perspective, is that despite those layoffs, employers still see a shortage as a critical issue for their daily practice. We still have 3.5 times more job vacancies than short-term unemployed individuals in the industry. So despite those downfalls, yeah, we still actually have a lack of people. What are the shortages and surpluses? I said that the according to the indicator of our PES, yeah, we still have a tight labor market. Actually, from the 93 occupations uh, that we publish about for this indicator, only three show average tension. Um, yeah, there's the three stated: sales, marketing managers, secretaries, and construction laborers. However, the other are either tight or very tight, with the top five being government officials, specialist nurses, electrical engineers, etc. So a lot of healthcare occupations and a lot of tech occupations dominating the list of very tight jobs. Actually, when we take a look to the future, we have uh, a bureau called ROA, which is a research for education and labor market. They do more future research. They see that uh, we actually combined their insights with our own indicator. When we do that, we see actually that 30 professions that are currently tight or very tight are projected to become even tighter or scarcer in 5 years time from now. This actually applies to technical roles, especially as well as transport professions. When we look to uh, let's say healthcare, we see like a mixed perspective, but yeah, mostly healthcare will go up in tightness. The one thing that goes down in tightness is business and administrative roles, particularly driven by the impact of AI, which we also see for some IT professions. But still, yeah, tightness is not over yet. I see my time is running close to 10 minutes. I have one last slide with key challenges. I think they're not unique to the Netherlands, but they're still pretty important for our country. Of course, we have a very big societal impact. We have housing care issues. I mean, if we go on with the shortage of labor, there will be like people not being able to visit the doctors like we're used to that now. So that's very much a thing to pick up by government. National security, of course, with the rise of the NATO expenses, we will face a critical challenge in recruiting military personnel. We have a skills gap mismatch. Things are getting more complicated. AI is getting more important. So more uh, urgency for people to follow education. Demographics, I'm gonna skip one because I'm running out of time. People are getting older. There's declining youth inflow. So yeah, the talent pool is shrinking. And of course, the lifetime long learning. We have to keep educating ourselves as AI and a lot of other things are transforming job roles. Uh, I think 1 minute over time, but yeah, thank you for listening. And that was my story about labor market in the Netherlands.
Thank you very much. Really, a really interesting presentation and actually perfectly on time. So
Thanks.
thank you very much. So check if there is any question from the audience. Of course, uh, again, I repeat, so you can ask a question directly in the chat or using um, the link that I pasted in the chat. Let me check. All right, we don't have questions, um, so far. So probably, of course, if you want to ask question to Jeroen also later, there will be a Q&A session, so you can already uh, write your question and we will answer it later. All right, so we continue now with a speaker from Germany, so Christian Hutter. So Christian, good morning. I'll uh, I'll give you the floor. Okay, we can see your presentation.
So, can you hear me? Great. Well, second. Okay, yeah, thanks for having me here. I'm very glad to be able to present the insights into the German labor market. Just a couple of words about myself. I work for the Institute for Employment Research in Nuremberg. That is the research institute of the Federal Employment Agency. So I would like to start with a couple of notes on the German labor market. We have had almost 3 years now of very weak economy, 2 years of recession even, and last year, 2025, we have experienced only a weak growth of 0.2%. And we are in the middle of a transformation crisis, or if you want to call it a deindustrialization crisis. However, in our short-term forecast, we expect economy to recover a bit in 2026, and this will also lead to a certain improvement in the labor market figures. So we expect unemployment to fall again during 2026, and well, with respect to employment, we are a bit less optimistic. I mean, we have experienced high employment growth during the last 15 years or so, but now it has stagnated during the last couple of months. And we expect the potential labor force to shrink for the first time now this year. So this is really a turning point now. And this also limits the the possibilities for an increasing employment. With respect to employment, within employment, we see strong sectoral differences. I will show you a table in a couple of minutes. And with respect to the flow rates, we see that layoffs rise from still very low levels, but again, they rise. And we see that job starts are very weak. They are on a historically low level, and also job postings are very weak. So here you see the development of employment. At the moment, we have approximately 46 million employed persons. You can see the weak economy led employment to not continue its rising path. So during the last couple of years, it pretty much stagnated. And yeah, even though we forecast economic growth to pick up again, we do not expect employment figures to go back to their growth path. Here you see the sectoral differences I mentioned earlier. In total, you see the number of dependent employees here. So I have to mention it is a table from our forecast in fall, but so you see 2025 still as forecast here, but the numbers were pretty much bang on here. So in 2026 or for 2026, we expect total number of dependent employees to grow by approximately 20,000. But you can see that almost all of that is only due to an increase in the public services, education, and human health sector. So this sector still will grow by approximately 130,000 persons here. And by contrast, the manufacturing sector without construction will fall by approximately 70,000 persons. Well, followed by that, also the business services. So the services linked to the manufacturing sector, they will also decrease by almost 40,000. And all the other sectors are pretty much stagnant, so they will not rise or shrink by much. Here you see the unemployment figures. They will, as I said, start to fall again during 2026. A note probably is warranted with respect to the level here. So we have approximately short of 3 million persons in unemployment. This figure is almost double that of the internationally comparable ILO figures. So our official national registered unemployment figures are double that, because we count people as unemployed even if they have a job and search for more hours of a job. So if a person, this works until a threshold of 15 hours per week. So if you have a job 14 hours per week and still search for another job, then you are still counted as unemployed. So that's why we have in our official numbers double that of the ILO figures. Our key challenge for the future is the shrinking labor force potential. As I said, for the first time, we experienced shrinking, or we will experience shrinking labor force potential. It will decrease by 40,000 in 2026, according to our forecast. And this is driven mainly by the demographic component. So each year we lose almost 500,000 of people only due to demographic reasons. And this can only partially be mitigated or compensated by rising labor force participation and still a positive net migration component. So this will be the key challenge for the future. With respect to labor shortages, I have put the IAB labor shortage index here, which we generate from a survey among all 150 local labor market agencies. And this had its high point in 2023 approximately, but now the shortages have become less prevalent during the last couple of years. And if you are interested in which occupations have shortages at the moment, you have to look at the red occupations here. So those are the shortage occupations identified by the Federal Employment Agency in 2024. And the occupations that are on total here on this slide are the expected shortages until 2029, according to our QB projection. So some colleagues of me in my department, they do medium-term and long-term forecasts, and those occupations here, so those 41 of total of 144 occupations, they are those with expected shortages. So especially in the again in the healthcare sector, of course, medical and practice assistants or elderly care and health and nursing care, those are one of the focus occupations with expected shortages. If you are interested in further information, I have put some links here, so I cannot treat them due to limited time, but yeah, if you're interested, you can contact my colleagues here or click on those links here. Yeah, thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christian. Really interesting presentation for showing the labor market situation in Germany. So thank you very much. I check for questions from the audience. So also in this case, we don't have any questions so far, but of course there will be also time after all presentation um, to address some comments from home. So again, uh, I renew my invitation to the audience from home to ask questions using the chat or the link that I pinned in the chat here. Now we can continue with the third speaker. So we have from Belgium, Kyra Veldkamp, that is going to present the labor market from Belgium. So good morning, Kyra.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just get the presentation.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry for the starting position of the presentation because AI couldn't save me. I had to use it as it was. We have all these various tools to make our presentations, and I couldn't get the photo right. But it also emphasizes the fact that we have a turn upside down labor market situation. So a burning labor market can also explain the picture upside down. Let me dive into the situation in Belgium. If I can get the, yeah. So I do know that we have just a small period of time to explain the labor market situation in Belgium, but I do have to dive into the specifics of our country. We are a federal state that is organized in various regions, and we have it's also a kingdom, and on the head of this kingdom there's King Philip, and we have a Prime Minister, Bart de Wever. But it's more specifically interesting for you as an audience to know why we have various situations in regions. Actually, we have one country, but we have 3 official languages, Dutch, French, and German. And therefore, you have to take into consideration that our public employment services are also organized that way. So according to the official languages, the public employment services also vary. The 3 basic employment services are located in the Flanders part of Belgium. So the northern part of Belgium, as you can see, is VDAB. And then in the southern part, it's Forum, the French-speaking part. And then the Brussels capital is there with a bilingual situation where the official languages are Dutch and French. But you can also see there's a specific situation in the east side of Belgium where actually it would be geographically a part of the Walloon region, but they have their own independency according to, say, employment. And Synerjob is actually bringing all these public employment services together, which makes it easier as a data-driven organization to exchange and analysis and share challenges, share knowledge, and make sure there's some kind of a unified approach. Also, to enabling this situation and bringing together these public employment services on a national level, you can also have an easier or a facilitated international representation. Now, for Belgium, the unemployment rate would be, in the end of the last quarter of 25, that would be 6.5%. But as you can already see, and this already shows a little bit of a preview on where I have to dive into a little bit deeper. As you can see on the left side of this slide, the variation within the regions is very extreme. So to give you an average unemployment rate, that would be not so meaningful. Even if it's just a small and dense country, it's still important to know that there's a variety in these numbers. The key characteristics of the Belgian labor market are that we have a very economic structure with a mostly business landscape that is focusing on transport, logistics, financial, and retail distribution. 8 out of 10 companies have an SME background. Of course, like many other countries, there's a very critical talent shortage, and we have a persistent labor shortage in the whole of the country. But on the other hand, there's also a stable employment because most of our contracts are permanent contracts, or a lot of our contracts are permanent contracts. And also good to know for Belgium is that there's a high workers' mobility because Belgium is situated in the heart of the Western European countries, with the facilitation of Brussels as the capital of Europe, but also there's a high communing between the 3 regions in Belgium, but also with the neighboring countries, as I said. So the working conditions in Belgium, we still have a 38 hours a week schedule and mostly 20 paid leave days per year. However, that varies a little bit in depending on the sector that you are working in, and also the ancienity you have in your work. All our wages are agreed upon in collective labor agreements. Good to know is that it pays off to commute to Brussels. I'll show that in the next slide. And the gender gap according wages is higher among older workers. And it also pays off to pay in the petrochemical industry because that's the leading sector according to the best wages. Yeah, I'm gonna go off that. So here on the map, you can see why it's more interesting to work in the capital of Brussels. The red spots is the highest paid wages. In 2024, 1 out of 3 employees were usually or sometimes working from home, and mostly in the public sector. Diving into Flanders, just to show you the difference in the unemployment rates. So as you can see, it's a lot lower than the average. It's 4.5. There's 227 bottleneck professions at the moment, so more or less 40% of all professions. And at this point, as our managing director at VDAB, Flemish level says, the labor market is slightly less tight, but the bottlenecks remain persistent. It's only by activating everybody on the labor market that we can increase the workforce. Top 10 on shortage occupations is very recognizable, like in most countries. So most of them are very technical related. And then also in administration, accountancy, for example, and in caretaking, nurse, and in transport, the truck drivers. And then for Wallonia, it's 7.9%. As you can see, so it's a much higher percentage. Here, it's all about the key sectors and the strategic sector. So 75% of all jobs are organized in the 6 key sectors: health and social services, retail, public services, manufacturing, industry, administration, and education. And then there's also the focus on the strategic sectors, food, aerospace, environmental, life science, engineering, transport, and logistics. The shortages in the Wallonian region are at the moment 164 critical ones. I'm not sure if that's the latest number because the ones from Flanders were only from the day before yesterday. These were the last ones from last year. So as you can see, 50% shortage occupations in construction, industry, and health sector. Surpluses are mostly in unspecialized workers and qualified workers missing an essential skill. And then for the Brussels capital region, it's 13.1%. So as you can see, according to what I already said, the variation in the regions, the Brussels capital has the highest employment number to work with. It's a different society. It's more like a capital region, so it's a much younger and multicultural population. There's more than 181 nationalities and 104 languages spoken. 37 are non-Belgian nationals, and the average age is only 37 years old, so which is also a big difference if you compare it to the other regions. It has a very strong international dimension, of course, because the EU organizations are there and NATO is in Brussels. And it's better to speak English and at least one of the two official languages to find a job in Brussels. It's a job market mainly open to qualified workers. So that also explains a lot why it's such a high percentage. The main shortages in Brussels are administration, commerce, finance, education, hospitality, IT, and of course, again, health and social care. You can find more information on basically all the public employment services databases in Belgium. They have their own statistics and diving deeper into the labor market issues. And I hope I could explain it a little bit in this short period of time, but thank you for listening to this presentation.
Thank you very much, Kyra. Really interesting presentation of the many regions in Belgium. It's interesting to see like the difference in a country like Belgium that is like really different in all of them. Again, I check if there is any question from the audience, and if not, we will continue and address the questions later. All right, so I think we can continue with Paola Denereaz from Switzerland. So Paola, I'll give you the floor. You can start presenting your PowerPoint. Okay, great. We can see it. So over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I will start talking about the unemployment rate in Switzerland. Our PES calculate the unemployment rate a little bit different way than the rate calculated by the International Labour Organization, because our PES only takes in account the people who are registered with an unemployment office and not all the people without a job in the country. So the rate calculated to our PES is always a little bit lower than the rate from the International Labour Organization. So to show you the difference between these two rates, last year the PES unemployment rate was about 2.8%, and the below unemployment rate was about 4.8%. Is still a lower rate unemployment rate, but higher than 2.8%. So it's easier to compare with other countries. Last year, the pharmaceutical sector, banks, and insurance were sector under pressure. Layoffs in this sector increased last year. So, for example, UBS, the biggest bank in Switzerland, is also cutting jobs, and Novartis is also planning to cut jobs in the next year. So, those three sectors are under pressure from last year, and it will continue in the next year too. As you can see, women are more impacted by unemployment than men, and also foreign nationals are more exposed to unemployment than Swiss citizens. And maybe like in most other countries, the young people are also more affected by unemployment than other age groups. Some words about the economic forecast. As you may know, in August last year, the Trump administration decided to impose a 39% tax on Swiss products, which created significant instability in our economy. Fortunately, the rate was renegotiated in November, and we are now once again aligned with the other EU countries. And despite this, the Swiss economy still recorded a moderate growth last year, and the labor market remained generally solid, with a slight increase in unemployment, but it is still a low unemployment rate by international standards. The economic forecast for 2026 predict grow around 1% and a slight increase in employment around 3.1%. The uncertainty has decreased somewhat these years compared to last year, but the global economy is still subject to significant risk, and this is an impact, or could have an impact on our economy. Also because we have large Swiss companies that have to invest in the United States, and that casts uncertainty on our investment at the national level, with possible implication for the creation of new jobs. So this is a little bit still uncertain. I will now talk about surpluses and shortages in Switzerland, but I have to say something. Our PES has not developed a labor market observatory that provides information on surpluses and shortages in the Swiss labor market. And we always have to rely on information provided from private companies or studies provided by university. And this is a pity, but it's like this in Switzerland. So here we have a few points that we can highlight. So from last year, the skill shortages declines after a strong increase during the last year, so 2022, 2024. The last year index shows a clear easing for the second consecutive years. So companies are investing cautiously. Many projects are being postponed or cancelled, and new positions are being created slowly than in the previous year. And this can also explain this decline of shortages. And also these shortages are concentrated in a few occupational groups. We will see it in the next slide. And also about these shortages, we also have differences between the Swiss-German part of Switzerland and the Latin, French-speaking and Italian-speaking part. So there is also difference across the country. We have also some skill surpluses in professions that are more exposed to the artificial intelligence, such administrative, commercial, and ICT profession. So that we can see that the job declines and the unemployment in these groups are increasing, and this leads to a labor surplus in these professions. So those are the shortages. So healthcare is always a sector where we are facing some shortages. Engineering, electronic technicians. So, and we have surpluses in unskilled workers, office workers, skilled commercial workers. I believe that in many EU countries, in the coming years, the PES will have to face certain challenging like demographic trends, migration, digital transformation, and so on. And in Switzerland, to address these challenges, our PES developed a PES strategy 2030, which is structured around 12 strategic points divided into 3 areas of impact. So the first is to improve the knowledge of the labor market for the advisor, to give more information, more precise information to the job seekers. The point B is to put the job seeker at the center and have really a personalized counseling service to improve the possibility to find a job and so on, and also to implement the digital solution to be on this point also more modern. So to conclude, as you can see, 2026 appears as a phase of stabilization, but uncertainty remain high, almost this global economy uncertainty. The Swiss labor market is showing resilience, despite an increase in unemployment observed last year and probably this year with a forecast of 3.1%. And also we saw that the shortage of skilled labor is decreasing, but some key shortages persist, like in construction and healthcare, for example. So thank you for your attention, and we will discuss later.
Thank you very much, Paola.
Thank you
for your presentation. So I check again also for you if there is any question from the audience. So far I don't see any, but let me check again. In the meantime, we have other questions for the other speakers that already presented, so we will address those questions at the end of this part of the morning. All right, so without further ado, now I leave the floor to Mario Della Schiava from Luxembourg. So Mario, over to you to present.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, good morning from Luxembourg. Yes, I'm Mario. I present you the wonderful country of Luxembourg and also his labor market. Okay. Do you see my screen? Yeah. Is that everything's okay? Okay. Yeah, you see here Luxembourg on the map in the heart of Europe. That's our country. It's one of the smallest countries in Europe, but with a very active labor market. Some facts of Luxembourg, some figures. As I told you, it's one of the smallest countries in Europe. We have about 2,586 square kilometers and a population about 670,000 inhabitants. Very interesting is that we have 3 official languages. Luxembourgish is more spoken language, and then for working, of course, French and German. English and Portuguese also is widely spoken in different sectors. Portuguese, for example, more in the handcraft sector. During the last 20 years, we have the population has increased by more than 47% due to the immigration. We have here you have some figures about the employment landscape that was in 2023, but it's not changing a lot. So what we see, about 47% of the workforce consists of cross-border workers who commute from neighboring countries, from Germany, from Belgium and France. About the workforce, we have 25% of workers commute from France, 11% from Belgium and Germany, reflecting the close economic ties between these countries. First, we will speak about unemployment. In Luxembourg, we have an unemployment rate from 6.9%, which was increasing the last few months. If I say 6.9%, in figures, that means we have about 20,000 job seekers in Luxembourg. The labor market, we have a very competitive labor market in Luxembourg. Since 2005, employment in Luxembourg has experienced a remarkable growth of nearly 70%. The significant increase in the country's expanding job market and its dynamic economic environment. The overall Luxembourg business landscape is marked by its diverse technology sectors, because the country supports a wide range of technological innovations, from clean tech to space technologies. Highly competitive service sector, particularly in finance, ICT and media, but also a flourishing startup community and strong SME sector. In the next slide, you will see the important global brands in Luxembourg, because we are distinguished by the presence of leading global brands as Goodyear, RTL Group, SES, Microsoft, Cargolux and Amazon. About the latest projections, Luxembourg has the highest GDP per capita among the countries, compared with the United States, Belgium, France, Germany and France. This reflects the nation's robust economic performance and high standard of living, which we will speak later on. Then I came directly to the minimum wages in Luxembourg. You see here the figures. We have a minimum wage for workers aged 18 and older without a qualification. The minimum wage is about 2,703.74 euros a month. That's gross salary. And for people more than 18 years with recognized professional qualification, diploma in their profession where they are working, the gross salary, the minimum salary is about 3,244.48 euros. I told you about the languages, the administrative languages in Luxembourg. So we spoke about Luxembourgish, French, and German, also about English and Portuguese. Must say that Luxembourgish is more a spoken language. So more important for working is, and the most important is the French language, also with German. But we will say that the most profile demand in Luxembourg, which we are looking for, it depends on the profile of the job offer. It's French, English, very important. And also it depends also on the profile of the company. It can be Luxembourg, French, German. It can be also French and German. It depends on the sector. So important in Luxembourg is the other languages. I would say French and English very important for Luxembourg. When we speak about job search in Luxembourg, we have, due to the international nature of the workforce in Luxembourg and the diverse cultural and education backgrounds of recruiters, there are not strict or fixed standards for job applications. This means that application inspections depend on the company and positions. So we can say that on the review of the job offers and pay close attention to the specific requirements mentioned in most cases. It depends on the job offers, what language the job seeker will pose his application in Luxembourg. So we can say that application documents must be written in the language of the job offer in Luxembourg. About the bottleneck in the vacancies in Luxembourg, we have here I have some examples which you see: credit and banking risk management consultants, industrial mechanical maintenance, and you see all the social work, also accounting. But that are the offers, the bottlenecks where we have also in the other European countries. We have also a list of professions, very high demand, which you will find on our website, adam.lu, which is published twice a year in Luxembourg, and where the employers can benefit from simplified and expedited procedures for hiring people from third country nations. So if the employers will hire persons in this profession, in this list, it's easier to hire a person from third national countries. I will also present you. We have a platform work in Luxembourg to tell you where you can find all current jobs vacancies in high demand professions. So that's we made it EURES Luxembourg together with the ADEM. We have this platform working in Luxembourg, so the job seekers can register at this platform, and also the employers, and also where we are organizing, due to this platform, online job days where the job seekers can find these job days on this platform. Also interesting, if we are speaking about bottlenecks, if we are speaking about shortages, we have also a platform, jobinsights.lu, where the employers, where everyone can, where we offer employment opportunities across various sectors, detailed required qualification, experience, and also language skills and competencies. And this can be interesting for every job seeker who is interested to come to Luxembourg for jobs. Some useful links, job offers, also employers by sectors for the job seekers who want to come to Luxembourg. They can use these links, which can be very important also to find work in our country. I want also to speak about professional qualifications, also equivalence of diplomas, and also approval of a job of university diplomas, which you can find on this site. So if someone is coming from out of Luxembourg to Luxembourg and needs an equivalence of the diplomas, he can have it on the different internet sites which you find here on this presentation. Now I have a small problem. A big problem also I want to speak. Okay, if I tell you that we have a very attractive labor or an attractive labor market, the problem in Luxembourg will be the renting. So renting houses, living in Luxembourg, you will see here the average rent per meter in Luxembourg. So you see in Luxembourg City, it's about 40 euros a square meter. But more you go out from Luxembourg City, you see here Dekirch or Wils, that's about 30, 40, 50 kilometers outside from Luxembourg City. You see it's quite half of the prices in Luxembourg City. So everybody who comes to Luxembourg must know that housing is not easy to find, and also it's expensive. Some more detailed information about Luxembourg, about living and working, and also interesting, calculate your net salary in Luxembourg. So means from gross to net salary. You have the calculatrice.lu where you can calculate your gross salary in net salary. Okay, so I think I'm in my 10 minutes, so thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mario, for your presentation. Really detailed information about Luxembourg, also living and working, and um, the details concerning the labor markets in your country. Now, I will check if there is any question from the audience. We have a couple of questions directed also to the other speakers, so I think we have a few minutes to answer those questions. So we received a question for Kyra. So concerning the composition of like the Belgium pests, so do you collaborate with each other? And they also ask, Brussels has a really high unemployment rate, and so if you know what is the reason, so the difference from the other regions.
Yeah, first of all, we do have a strong cooperation between the various regions, not always in data or automatic transfer of information or vacancies, but there are in the communities several teams working on the exchange of vacancies, for example. There are also federal subsidizing facilities to make sure that people from one region can navigate easily to other regions. And there are specific projects that support language training, because obviously if our languages are that various, it's also important to maintain a good offer of various possibilities to training these languages. So yes, there is a big cooperation there. And then the other question was, could you repeat that one again?
Yes,
John?
it's so Brussels has a very high unemployment rate. Do you know why?
Yeah, yes and no, because I'm not the specialist on the specific details. But as I said in the presentation, you have a very dense economic situation which is very peculiar. It differs a lot from the other regions if you consider the fact that there are a lot of young people there, but also there are a lot of unemployed young people there that don't have the qualifications to get in the jobs. For example, a lot of job offers in Brussels are officially in the 2 languages. And a lot of our unemployed youngsters, they do not have both languages or the capacity to speak both languages fluently. That's one issue. But also the competences in demand are mostly higher educated competences, especially because there are so many organizations in Brussels that have such a demand. So I think you could already see it that way. So if the labor market is burning, it's mostly in that area.
All right, thank you very much for this answer. And we have one more question for Mario, which is so the number of job vacancies on the EURES website is not very high. Taking into account the shortages that you outlined, what would be the cause of this lack of vacancies on the EURES website?
Okay, yes, I think we have about 2,500, 3,000 job vacancies on the EURES website. So officially, we have on our administration, we have about 6,000. So in Luxembourg, it's like that the employers, they can publish their offers directly to the public, and these offers, you will find them on the EURES website. And the other offers are restricted because employers say, Adam, public employment service, could you please make the recruitment for us? This one you don't find on the EURES website. So it's quite about 50% of our official job offers you will find on the EURES website. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for your answer. So I don't see other questions so far for you all. So I would head to the coffee break, and we will continue after this with a short moderated discussions also with our speakers. So I ask you not to leave. So we will be back. We can do at 11:17. So see you soon. All right. So welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your coffee break. So now we will resume the discussion about the the labor markets in Western Europe with a few questions that we prepared just to spark the conversation amongst our speakers. And of course, you can also continue asking questions in the chat here in YouTube or using the link that is pinned at the top of the chat also here in YouTube. All right, so now I will ask the first question to our speakers, and they will freely answer this first question, which is so the first question is, which structural features of your labor markets, for example, contract types, wage levels, regulations, or skills certification, most strongly influence workers' willingness or ability to move across borders? So, Jeroen, over to you.
Thank you. I think we see a couple of movements in our country trying to change the way how we work. I think Kyra mentioned it as well. I think we're moving away from kind of more flexible contracts to more job security. which is on the other side, it's a good thing because people coming to our country, get more of job security. On the other hand, I think I think one important law that we're changing is that we're limiting 0-hour contracts and as well making sure people are not like fake freelancers. So people who work on a freelance basis for just one employer, we tend to see them as people with a contract. We are trying to we changed the law to prohibit that kind of labor. But of course, that limits yourself and people who are just basically working on a freelance basis. So I think those are like two contradictory movements. On the other side, it's a positive thing. On the other hand, a negative thing. One thing that tends to attract people is our high minimum wage. I think we increased that to almost 15 euros per hour. Also for youth, which is a good thing for people coming to work here, but not so much for the employer. One thing, and then I end, thing that limits, of course, which is maybe also appropriate for other questions, is that the housing is an extreme problem here. I mean, it's we have a house shortage, which is incredible. So that limits the import of people. So much for my answer.
Thank you very much. Really interesting also to see this this sort of as you said, like different movements that come from this structural changes, and also the housing problem, which is like pretty much common in many countries in the EU. Christian, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I think Germany also has quite a high wage level compared to especially its eastern neighboring countries. So this acts as sort of a pull factor also for foreign workers. We have increased the minimum wage in 2026 now to 13.90 euro per hour, and it will increase further to 14.80 euro per hour next year. So this is already negotiated and fixed. And so compared to the 8.50 euro per hour in 2015, in the year of its introduction, the minimum wage has increased by a lot more than average wages. So this is quite remarkable, and also acts as sort of a pull factor for, well, for maybe for less qualified persons. In general, I would say the German labor market is quite regulated, especially if it comes to the jobs. So there are approximately 100 jobs that are regulated, and so you cannot simply do this job. You need to have it recognized, officially recognized, your qualifications in order to be able to perform these jobs. Okay, so we call them reglementierte Berufe, so regulated professions. And so the recognition status here is mandatory. You cannot work in these professions without an official notice of equivalence, so Anerkennungsbescheid, or without a license to practice. So you must apply to the relevant authority to get this recognition status. And but still, I mean, it's healthcare and engineers and professions like that. So they are protected. But the big majority of professions, they are unregulated. So more than 330 dual system vocational training occupations are unregulated. So there it is easier to work. And maybe one last thing to answer the question. I mean, the German governments during the last couple of years have tried to facilitate immigration of skilled workers, at least. So we had this Fachkräftezuwanderungsgesetz, so this Skilled Workers Immigration Act, which sort of the goal of it was to sort of copy the Canadian point system a little bit to some extent, so to make it a bit easier for skilled workers to work here in Germany. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's nice to hear about also this this perspective from the German side. So the wage increase over the years, which has been like massive, I would say, and how this, of course, attracts workers from all over Europe and also, I guess, from outside. I'll give the floor now to Kyra.
Yeah, so as you could already see in the presentation, we have this very specific situation in our country referring to the various regions. And not all of the regions are that big of a labor demanding region. However, a lot of things are also centrally organized, and that's also a strength because, for example, labor law, wages, social security, that's all dealt with on a central level. So the complexity there is not that much of an issue. And if we want to attract people from abroad, for example, these things are very much on the list or on the on their top 10 in what is important when they move to other countries. On the other hand, also everything is very nearby. The fact that our country is not as big, maybe a little bit bigger than Luxembourg, but it's still not a big country, makes it easy to navigate from one side of the country to another, which is very attractive for people that come to work in Belgium, and also very easy to go from one of our airports to any other place in Europe or in the world. So that's also I think that's a high score on the list of why would people think that it's interesting to come and work in Belgium. I also think that there's a lot of choice. Well, let's hope that even though there are a lot of cuts lately and our political situation is not always nefast for an innovative culture, there's still a lot of choice. I'm thinking about the choice of housing, for example. You could, for example, find a job opportunity in Brussels. Again, wages are federal, but you can find a housing position, a job in Brussels, but then think, okay, it's too expensive to live in Brussels, and you could, for example, live in another city, and the going back and forth from that city to the city capital is also really easy. So I think that contributes also to the question.
Thank you very much. So it's nice to see this like kind of unity like from this different region to have like a centralized let's say part that regulates everything that makes everything easier. And of course also the point of having like being a small country where you can more or less navigate and move like to work from one part to another is a big point. I'll hand the word to Paola now.
Yes, so I think for Switzerland we are maybe like a mix between Germany, Netherlands, and Belgium, because we also have a high level of wages. So this can be very attractive for people. And also our low unemployment rate, that can be also attractive. Our geographical position is also very interesting because we are in the center of Europe, so it's practical for a lot of people. And also maybe the good reputation of our government, that it's quite stable, so also the quality of life can be attractive for people. But then maybe all these attractive points, we don't have to forget the high cost of life in Switzerland, especially for people with unskilled, so for unskilled workers, because the wages are lower for this kind of workers, so it can be difficult to live in Switzerland. And also we are in the center, so we have a lot of cross-border. This is also a labor market that is very competitive between citizens living in Switzerland and outside. And yeah, I think those are the points.
Thank you, Paola. It's of course important to notice, of course, the competitiveness of the labor market with really high wages, but not to forget also the costs that some workers coming from outside with let's say with less skilled occupations they might face. So it's important to notice that. So I leave the floor also to Mario now.
Yes, if we speak about attractive country, okay, we are still in the same position, I would say, like Switzerland. So the problem is also quite the same as Switzerland. If you have high salaries, you have also on the other side, you have also, as I showed you in my presentation, houses are very renting, and houses are very high. That's always a big problem. On the other side, I didn't speak about it, but I will also speak about the pension system, which is very attractive in Luxembourg. So we have our age to go to pension is 65, yes, but we also can go to a pension into pension with 60 years when we have worked for 40 years in the EU, in Luxembourg and in other countries. So, and also the wages, the salaries in pension, the pension is quite higher than in our neighbor countries. So that's also a big point for Luxembourg.
Thank you, Mario. Yeah, it's also another interesting point, like of attractiveness of a country. So the pension regulation and so on. And I see also from the audience we have a few questions. So before going to the second question that we prepared for you, I think we can also redirect a few of these questions. So we have one for Germany. So how successful have the German efforts been to attract more skilled profession? And if so, what was the key of the success?
Well, I think it's a bit early to evaluate whether those changes have been successful because they only have been made recently. So in, I guess it was 2023, 2024. So there we made those changes. And on top of that, I'm not an expert within the institute with respect to migration. We have a whole separate department only caring about that. So unfortunately, I cannot answer this question in detail. But I can add that in total, migration figures have declined by a lot. And I mean, this is, of course, due to the big decline in refugee migration. But yeah, to my knowledge, the migration figures are still of skilled workers. So coming back to this group, are too low to have enough of an impact to compensate the declining demographic component. I showed you this problem before. And I mean, as I said, the German government tries to address this, but I have to say migration is not the only channel. You can also try to increase participation rates. And this especially is true if you look at the domestic potential we still have. I mean, we have many, still, in my opinion, way too many unemployed. I showed you the figure, and we still have a huge potential with respect to the elderly. So a recent change the government did was it tried to incentivize the working of retired people. So now there is this new law that guarantees you, or that allows you as a retired person to earn 2,000 euro per month tax-free. So the aim of that is to also increase the participation rates, which is of course another big lever for increasing the labor force potential again. Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. Kyra?
For microphone. So yeah, I just wanted to underline what Christian said here. I also don't really have the direct answer to the question, but I do want to stress that there have been some changing according to the political and the policy changes and the dynamics on a politic level in our country. That had to do, of course, with the cut downs that we all know in our countries. There's less means for more work, say it that way. And concerning migration, our focus is also on activating rather than migration. While before, the time before the new era, so starting from 26, before that time, we would focus on migration. We would do campaigns around every talent counts, and every talent should be in a project, and we should focus more on attracting people to our bottleneck vacancies. However, now it's all about activating, which is also a challenge because we did seem to forget a little bit on even though we don't have such a high unemployment rate, there's still a lot of people that are looking for work in our own regions, of course. And we have to find now a way to combine the idea of focusing on that activation together with looking in the long term that there will still be vacancies that will not be fulfilled, and we will have to do something with that as well. So the question still remains, what are we going to do with that high demand and that developing of new functions in our country and the innovation that's going on, and maybe the future prospects on the labor market? Are we going to go and dive into that as well? And perhaps migration will be an answer again, or maybe in a variant way to that demand as well. So that's for the time being.
Thank you very much, Kyra. So I will continue with another question, which also anticipates a little bit another question that we received from the audience. So how do skills recognition, language requirements, and occupational regulation in your country affect cross-border recruitment and labor mobility within the EU in general? We also had, of course, from the audience a question about this recognition in particular. All right, so I see in order, Paola.
I think that in Switzerland, the language skills are very important. There is really a difference between also the number of job vacancies between the the French and Italian part and the German-speaking part. In the German-speaking part, there is a lot more job vacancies. So it's important to know that German is the most important language in Switzerland, and also to find a job. English, it's important, but it's important for maybe international companies, for specific jobs like, I don't know, informatic or IT or something like that. But the language of the countries is still important. And sometimes it can be difficult for cross-border maybe, or also for foreign citizens, because they speak maybe only one of the 3 languages plus English, and they think that should be enough. But sometimes it's not enough, also because we are, as I said, a very competitive labor market. So it's not so easy to find a job when you speak maybe only Italian and English. It's not easy because the Italian part is very small. And so I think language skills are very important to find a job in Switzerland.
Thank you, Paola. Now it's Kyra's turn.
Yeah, I wrote down what I wanted to say. So here in Belgium, again, language is in most of the job-related situations kind of prior to any kind of competence at demand, because it's not only important for the execution of the tasks at hand in the job or in vacancy, but it's also important regarding safety issues, and also, and that's not to underestimate on a social level, the background of integrating into the society, especially when you look at a country where there's already 3 very, very different languages being concerned as their official languages, and we do use the intermediate language of English. But the thing is that mixing these languages all together is not a good idea. It's really, you have to focus on one region. What do you want to do there? How do you want to specifically ask, for example, the recognition of your degree also has to be addressed in one specific language region. And if you have a recognition in that region, you do not automatically have a recognition in another region. So it has some kind, that language is very prior, and it also has some kind of a complex influence on the whole trajectory you would do if you are a newcomer in Belgium.
Okay, thank you, Kyra. Christian, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I already talked about the regulated versus unregulated jobs, so I would like to answer your question now with respect to the language problems or the language requirements. I mean, I think there are language barriers, and learning German is maybe not the easiest language to learn. But I mean, I would differentiate between the work and the daily life. So if you just want to come to Germany to work there, then maybe it's not really necessary for all professions to know German. But if you really want to succeed in daily life and in integration, I think learning German is mandatory. So even where not legally required, well, there is the necessity for maybe A2 to B2 levels German for navigating daily life and for navigating administration, the whole bureaucracy, and also for navigating an effective workplace communication. And if you are not proficient in that, then you, yeah, this might be an obstacle for, yeah, for success here. Yeah, I mean, there is support for language learning here in Germany. So to counter those problems I mentioned, there is specialized, I would say, job-related German language support. So this is offered. So this also helps professionals to improve their skills while working. Okay, so yeah.
Thank you also for pointing the fact of the, let's say, also dealing with bureaucracy and all the other processes that might are like involved in also the integration of the person in the country and in their also work life and like normal, let's say, outside work life. Mario, over to you now.
Yes, as I said before, Luxembourg, okay, has a situation that we have three official languages. So, as I said, Luxembourg is more spoken language, and then French and German. So, it's due to, yeah, we have a very international market in Luxembourg. So it depends also on the sector. I take, for example, restoration, bars, restaurant, and there you speak often it's a French language. So healthcare is German, French. It depends on the sector. If I take finance, ICT, it's more English. So it depends on the sector in Luxembourg. So I will say French is, yeah, the common language, the most important language, but also it can be more and more it's English. So it depends on the sector where you work. If you work with clients, healthcare, for example, so their German, French is important. And same at the restoration, construction, for example, we have a lot of Portuguese workers, so their French, Portuguese is very important. So it depends.
Thank you, Mario, for the, let's say, practical also view of the phenomenon in Luxembourg. Jeroen, you wanted to answer?
Yeah, yeah, I think a lot of what's been said so far is valid for our country as well. I just want to add one more thing. I think it also depends on the industry you're in. For example, if you're in the tech industry, you can manage with yeah, basic English. However, if we look to our healthcare industry, we have the so-called in the Netherlands, the BIG registration, which is a registration for individual healthcare occupations for the people who work there to prove that they are, how do you say that? Yeah, that they can actually practice their job in a professional way. Which actually, if you're from a foreign country and want to apply for this registration, you should first of all apply for the recognition of your professional qualification first. And there's actually a requirement for registration. There's also sufficient proficiency of the Dutch language, and which is pretty critical, especially for those jobs, because those are jobs like doctors, nurses, dentists, psychotherapists, etc., which are actually the occupations which are the tightest on the labor market. So that's yeah, I wanted to add that because it totally depends on the industry.
Yep, yep. And the more specialized and let's
Yeah.
say sensitive it is the more complicated is, let's say, the recognition process.
Sure.
Christian, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that also in Germany, in healthcare and in nursing, the German language proficiency at level B1 or B2 is mandatory. Yes.
Right, thank you. So we are almost at the end of our time for the Q&A. I will just ask one more question from the audience. So before we close, so we have a few here. I will just condense in one. So the first one would be, so how is is the PES willing to cooperate with EURES advisors in let's say tackle this this situation of like um, attracting like qualified workers, of course, from abroad, and then there is a sort of suggestions that they ask. So should like colleagues from other EURES countries advise young people, for example, to work harder on their language skill in order to, let's say, enhance their chance to like get a career in your countries. And like after this question, we will wrap up everything. All right, so I see Paola.
I think we always say when we do living and working in Switzerland that German is the most important language. So I don't know if the colleague can give this as an advice to the young people to improve their German skills, but for sure when you come in Switzerland and you speak English, German, and maybe a little bit French, you improve your chances to find a job and also a qualified job. Now I don't have the exact number, but in the canton of Zurich, so the biggest canton in Switzerland, so German speaking canton, I think there is more than 40,000 job vacancies just for this canton. And all the French-speaking canton have maybe 20,000 job vacancies for more cantons. So it's really big, the difference between the job vacancies in the Swiss-German part comparative to the other regions. So I think you can find a job when you speak French, it's okay, but clearly, when you speak German, English, you have more chances to find something. So we always advise people, and it's also easier and faster because we have a low unemployment rate. So the people think, okay, in Switzerland, 2 weeks, I have the job, I'm with a very high wage, and so it's perfect, but it's not the case because we have a lot of competition, and also because of this language skill. Also for people in Switzerland, when you only speak French, you are focusing your job search in this region, and it's also difficult to find something. So I think German is a difficult language, but it's a very important language in Switzerland.
Thank you, Paola. Kyra?
Yeah, the language discussion could take hours, I think, so I don't want to go into details too much, but I do think for all the years I've been in working as a EURES advisor, and the experience I had going abroad to job fairs and meeting young people that wanted to work abroad, I did notice that people had a lot more chances when they would be capable of speaking an intermediate language. So for my region, that would be English, but for the French region, I don't think an intermediate language would be the same language. But and their success rate would be a lot higher when they were already very fluent in an intermediate language, because it makes their whole process of application and building up the time being towards the job more accurate. And also, I think that we do need to emphasize as a mediator that the importance of the communication and the language and being capable of expressing yourself and also explaining about the competences, how you think the competences that you've already been skilled in are, for example, transferable to another job opportunity in the future, because it's not always that people come from a background and will do the same job in another country. So explaining these things, they do demand a kind of a level of language or communication to be able to express themselves and to prove that they are the best candidates. So yes, I would stress out to facilitate the idea of there are possible ways to get get your language knowledge improved. And on the other hand, I do think, even though the situation at this moment in EURES or in our network is a little bit more silent than it was before concerning bilateral cooperation or really participating live at job fairs, the whole economic situation doesn't allow this to happen and on a large scale. I do think that with tiny efforts, you can do a whole lot. For example, if you want to do a project and facilitate young people to come to, or older people or women or whatever category, to go to another country, then I would suggest to go and look at all the alternatives that you can build in and make it a project, even if you cannot always be at the place there or not be live in the situation. It's good to know that there are things like TMS, for example, or maybe your partners in your network that you can work with. And in that way, you can still facilitate bilateral cooperation as well.
Thank you very much for stressing the point, and also I see from your side similar to what also Paola said before. So I understand that, of course, there are chances to learn the language like on site directly in the country, but if you already have some previous knowledge, already consolidated knowledge, everything is let's say faster and easier. Mario, over to you now.
Yes, we are speaking a lot of languages that they see the importance also, and it's really very important. As Kyra also said, there is a possibility when you want to come from a country to another country by prepare by TMS. Yes, I take also the example from our past from. People who come to Luxembourg who don't speak the language to work in Luxembourg. That's the first thing we do. We offer language courses in English, in French for these people to integrate the labor market, because otherwise it's very difficult to integrate to work in not only in our country but also in the other countries if you don't speak the language you need for working.
Thank you. Yes, so it's also nice to see that in all countries there are like chances to actually get integrated also on this level, so the level of language and so on. Christian, over to you before we close.
Yeah, I wanted to answer the question whether the German employment agency cooperates with EURES. I mean, I'm not an expert in that, but to my knowledge, there is really an extensive cooperation between both. And so there is the Zentrale Auslands- und Fachvermittlung. I would say that, so this ZAV integration within the Federal Employment Agency of Germany. And this is the core partner, I would say. The services they offer is, among others, they assist with job searches. They give information on living and working in Germany. And as I mentioned earlier, with respect to the recognition of qualifications, they also give information on that. So I think there is extensive cooperation. And I also, if I'm allowed, I would like to mention another cooperation. So with the PES network within whole Europe. As you might know, we have created the European Labor Market Barometer, and a lot of European countries are part of that. I mean, in this small round here alone, Switzerland is part of that, Luxembourg is part of that, and also the Wallonian part of Belgium and the German-speaking community of Belgium is also part of the European Labor Market Barometer. And well, I say that because I'm responsible for this European Labor Market Barometer, and every other country, also the Netherlands, is invited to join that European Labor Market Barometer to have it increased the number of participating countries.
Thank you, Christian, for this invitation. Of course, I think extended to everybody watching us from YouTube. All right, so we reached the end of the webinar perfectly on time. So I want to take the chance to again thank all the speakers and thank you for all your interesting presentations and of course for this really active conversation about the topic of labor markets in your area. And also I see also a good participation so from home. So I also thank those that are watching us or that will of course watch us in the future as the recording is going to be available again in the next days. I pasted in the chat the link to evaluate this webinar, and after we close, there is going to be the QR code in on the screen, so you can also use your smartphone to evaluate the course. So thank you again very much, and I wish you all a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.